Chosen one, listen to me carefully. What I'm about to share is not casual, and it is not for everyone. This message is urgent, and it is only meant for those who truly walk the divine path of God. If someone is not aligned with God, if they are not chosen, they will feel uncomfortable, distracted, or they will simply leave. And that is fine. This message was never meant for them. But if you are still here, understand this clearly. This message reached you at the exact right moment. Not early, not late. Before today ends, you needed to hear this. God arranged this encounter because something important is shifting in your life right now, whether you realize it or not. Chosen one, there are moments when heaven speaks softly but urgently. This is one of those moments. What you are feeling today is not random. What you've been sensing cannot be ignored anymore. And if you listen closely, this message will bring clarity, relief, and strength to your spirit. Stay with me until the end, because what I will reveal will settle your mind and steady your heart in a way you did not expect. Before we continue, chosen ones, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the Spirit Guide channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, and share this message with other chosen ones so they don't miss what God is doing. And comment 777 in the comments as a sign that you are aligned with divine timing and ready to receive what God has prepared for you.
Divine timing. Why this message found you today. Chosen one, let me speak to you slowly now, because this part matters more than you realize. The reason this message found you today is not coincidence, and it is not because you were randomly scrolling. God does not work in randomness. He works in alignment, in timing, and in precision. What feels sudden to you is something that has been quietly arranged for a long time. You may be wondering why this message feels so personal, why it feels like it's speaking directly into your situation. That's because divine timing always feels intimate. When God moves, he doesn't shout. He nudges. He positions. He places the right words in front of the right soul at the exact moment the soul is ready to hear them. Today is not just another day. Spiritually, it is a checkpoint. Not a deadline, not a threat, not a warning meant to scare you. It is a moment of awareness. A moment where God is asking you to pause long enough to notice what he has been doing behind the scenes. Many chosen ones struggle with timing. You've asked questions like, why hasn't this happened yet? Or, why does it feel like I'm always waiting? Some of you have felt restless all day, unable to settle your thoughts. Others woke up with a heaviness they couldn't explain. That is not anxiety without cause. That is your spirit sensing movement. God's timing often feels uncomfortable because it doesn't follow human logic. We want clarity before obedience. God asks for obedience before clarity. And that gap right there is where most of the inner tension lives. You see, delays are not denials. For the chosen one, delays are usually preparation. God delays outcomes to strengthen capacity. If he gave you everything you asked for too early, it would crush you instead of bless you. So he stretches time, not to punish you, but to protect you. Think about how many times you thought something should have happened already. A breakthrough, an answer, a change. And yet, here you are, still standing, still seeking God, still listening. That alone tells me something important about you. You didn't walk away during the silence. You stayed. And staying is an act of faith most people never master. This message came to you today because you are standing at the edge of understanding something deeper about your life. God is not rushing you, and he is not ignoring you. He is aligning you. Alignment takes time because it involves removing what no longer fits. Sometimes God allows waiting because he is rearranging people around you. Sometimes he delays because certain doors need to close quietly before new ones open. And sometimes he delays simply because your heart needs to be steadier before you receive what's coming. Chosen one, Urgency does not always mean action. Sometimes urgency means awareness. It means God saying, "Pay attention now." Not because danger is near, but because clarity is available. If today feels different, trust that feeling. If something inside you has been unsettled, trust that too. That discomfort is not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up gently. God does not shake his chosen ones violently. He guides them patiently. I want you to hear this clearly. You are not behind. You are not late. You have not missed your moment. The reason you are hearing this before today ends is because today is completing a cycle in your life. Something is closing, and something else is quietly taking shape. Most people miss divine timing because they are distracted by noise. You didn't. You're here. That tells me your spirit is still sensitive, still listening, still responsive, and that sensitivity is a gift. Let me also say this, because it needs to be said. Feeling tired does not mean you are weak. Feeling uncertain does not mean your faith is failing. Even the strongest believers experience moments where timing feels confusing. What matters is not how you feel, but what you choose to trust. God's timing is not about speed, it's about accuracy. And accuracy requires patience. You didn't arrive at this message by accident. You arrived because your spirit was ready to receive reassurance, ready to receive instruction, ready to receive peace. So breathe for a moment. Let your shoulders relax. You don't need to figure everything out today. You only need to recognize that God is present right now, working, guiding, preparing. And as we continue, I want you to stay open, not tense, not defensive, just open. Because what comes next will help you understand why you've been carrying a pressure you couldn't quite explain, and why it has intensified recently. This is not the end of something good. This is the turning point before something better begins. And there is something else you must understand about divine timing, chosen one. God often speaks right before a shift, not after it. He prepares your mind before he changes your circumstances. That is why this message is coming now, not later. If it came later, you wouldn't need it in the same way. Right now, God is strengthening your discernment. He is helping you recognize what deserves your energy and what no longer does. Some of the confusion you've been feeling is actually clarity forming. Clarity does not arrive loud. It arrives quietly, asking you to slow down enough to notice it. You may have felt pulled in different directions lately, torn between trusting God and wanting answers immediately. That tension is not failure, it's growth. It's the stretching that happens right before stability returns. Think of it as God adjusting your inner balance so you can walk into the next phase without stumbling. Timing also has a way of revealing truth. Certain illusions only fall apart when the time is right. Certain realizations only settle in when the heart is ready. God waited until now because now you can handle what you are about to understand. I want you to release the idea that urgency means panic. This urgency is gentle. It is focused. It is meant to bring alignment, not fear. God is not rushing you. He is inviting you to awareness. So, as this day continues, don't fight what you feel. Don't rush to fix anything. Just remain attentive. Remain prayerful. Remain grounded. When divine timing speaks, it does not demand, it confirms. And today, chosen one, confirmation is exactly what your spirit needed. The hidden pressure you've been carrying as a chosen one. Chosen one, I want you to listen to this part with honesty, not strength. You've been carrying a pressure that few people ever notice and even fewer understand. It's not the kind of pressure you can easily explain. It doesn't always come from obvious problems. It sits deeper than that. Quiet, constant, heavy. This pressure didn't start yesterday. It has been building over time, layer by layer, season by season. And because you are used to being strong, you rarely talk about it. You learned early how to endure, how to keep going even when you didn't feel supported, how to smile while your mind was tired, How to stay faithful while your heart was asking hard questions. That is the burden many chosen ones carry. You are expected to be steady, even when everything inside you feels stretched. Let me say something important. Just because you don't complain doesn't mean you don't feel. Just because you don't collapse doesn't mean you're not tired. And just because God trusts you with pressure doesn't mean you're meant to carry it alone. There is a specific kind of pressure that comes with being chosen. It's the pressure of awareness. You see things others don't. You sense shifts before they happen. You feel responsibility even when no one asked you to take it. And that can be exhausting. You may have noticed that people often come to you when they need clarity, advice, or calm. Yet, when you need the same, you hesitate to ask. Not because you don't need help, but because you're used to being the one others lean on. Over time, that creates emotional weight. Some of you have felt emotionally isolated, even in rooms full of people. You love deeply, but you guard your heart carefully. You give wisdom freely, but you protect your vulnerability. That pattern didn't come from nowhere. It came from learning, over and over again, that not everyone can handle the depth God placed in you. So, you learned to be selective, quiet, observant. And while that protects you, it also adds pressure. Because holding things in requires strength. I want you to know this. The pressure you're feeling right now is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a sign that something significant is being prepared through you. Pressure increases before expansion. That's true spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. But here's the part many chosen ones misunderstand. Pressure is not meant to be permanent. It's temporary. It's part of a process, not a punishment. You may have felt like you've been walking through a season where nothing feels light. Even good things require effort. Even rest doesn't fully refresh you. That doesn't mean you're broken. It means you've been in a refining phase. God refines those he trusts, not to wear them down, but to strengthen their foundation. Some of this pressure also comes from resisting rest. You feel responsible to keep moving, keep believing, keep holding it together. And while discipline is good, neglecting rest is not obedience. Even Jesus withdrew. Even he stepped away to pray, to breathe, to be still. Chosen one, your sensitivity is not weakness. Your emotional depth is not a flaw. Your awareness is not a burden meant to crush you. It is a calling that requires care. There is another kind of pressure you've been carrying too. The pressure of expectation. You expect a lot from yourself. You hold yourself to standards others don't even notice. You replay conversations. You question decisions. You analyze whether you handled things the right way. That mental weight builds quietly. And because you are spiritually aware, you sometimes blame yourself when things don't move as expected. You wonder if you missed something, if you misunderstood God, if you waited too long or moved too early. Let me relieve you of that right now. God is not confused about you. He is not disappointed. He is not watching you with frustration. He sees your effort. He sees your sincerity. And he knows the pressure you've been under. The reason this pressure has intensified recently is because you are nearing a transition. Pressure often peaks right before release. Think of it like a storm cloud heavy with rain. The weight builds until it can no longer be contained, and then it pours. Your release is coming. But before it does, God is teaching you something important. He is teaching you that you don't need to carry everything by force. Trust is not about endurance alone. It's about surrender. You don't have to prove your faith by suffering in silence. You don't have to hold yourself together without support. God is not impressed by how much pain you can tolerate. He is pleased by your willingness to lean on him. I want you to take a breath right now, literally. Slow down your thoughts. Let your shoulders drop. That tightness you've been carrying doesn't need to stay with you. This pressure is not your enemy. It's a signal that you've grown, that you're ready for more, and that something is shifting. And as we move forward, I need you to understand one more thing. Some of the things that didn't work out recently were not failures. They were protections. God has been shielding you in ways you couldn't see yet. In the next part, I'm going to help you understand what God has been protecting you from all along and why certain doors had to close the way they did. There is also a quiet kind of pressure that comes from always being misunderstood. You explain yourself, yet people only hear what they want to hear. You show kindness, and some mistake it for weakness. You set boundaries, and suddenly you are called distant or cold. Over time, that creates a subtle tension inside you, a feeling of always having to be careful, always having to choose your words. That pressure can make you withdraw emotionally, even from those you care about. Not because you don't love, but because you've learned that not everyone honors your heart. So you carry more within, trusting fewer people with your inner world. And while that wisdom protects you, it can also feel lonely. You may have noticed that when you are quiet, people assume you are fine. They don't see the depth of what you're processing. They don't see the prayers you whisper when no one is listening. They don't see the nights you reflect, question, and surrender again. God sees it all. And here is something I want you to hold on to. The pressure you've been carrying has refined your discernment. It has sharpened your sensitivity. It has taught you when to speak and when to stay silent. That is not accidental. God has been shaping your inner strength quietly, away from applause and recognition. You are becoming someone who can handle peace without guilt and success without losing humility. That kind of growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens under pressure, guided by grace. So don't rush yourself through this season. Don't judge yourself for feeling tired. You are not falling apart. You are adjusting. And adjustments, though uncomfortable, always lead to balance. What God is protecting you from right now. Chosen one, this part may change the way you look at your past, especially the parts that still confuse you. There are things God has been protecting you from that you could not see at the time, and because you couldn't see them, you may have questioned his decisions. You may have wondered why certain doors closed so suddenly, why certain plans fell apart, or why certain people disappeared without explanation. Let me say this clearly. God does not remove things from your life to leave you empty. He removes them to keep you safe. Some of the endings you experienced were not losses. They were rescues. You see, protection does not always feel like protection. Sometimes it feels like disappointment. Sometimes it feels like rejection. Sometimes it feels like confusion. But God sees what you cannot see. He sees intentions before they turn into actions. He sees outcomes before they unfold. And when he blocks something, it's because continuing down that path would have cost you more than you realize. There are relationships God had to separate you from because they would have drained you slowly. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. They would have chipped away at your peace, your confidence, your faith. You might have stayed because you are loyal, because you see potential, because you love deeply. But God saw the long-term damage. So he stepped in. Some opportunities didn't materialize because they were not aligned with who you are becoming. They may have looked good on the surface. They may have seemed like answers to your prayers. But not every opportunity is a blessing, and not every open door is from God. God closes doors you are emotionally attached to when they threaten your purpose. You might still be asking, why did that have to end the way it did? Because if it ended gently, you might have gone back. If it ended slowly, you might have compromised. God sometimes allows abrupt endings because your obedience needed protection too. Chosen one, there are things you prayed for in the past that God said no to, not because they were bad, but because they were too small for where he is taking you. And if you had received them, you might have settled too early. Protection also looks like delay. God delays certain blessings until your discernment matures, because receiving the right thing at the wrong time can still harm you. Timing is part of protection. Some of you were protected from being tied to the wrong identity. You almost stepped into roles that would have limited you. You almost accepted labels that were not true to who God created you to be. And when things didn't work out, it felt like failure. But in reality, God was preserving your true calling. There were moments you felt overlooked, passed over, ignored. But what you didn't see was God shielding you from environments that would have required you to shrink to belong. God will never place you somewhere you must betray yourself to survive. Let me also speak about emotional protection. God has been guarding your heart even when you felt exposed. There were truths He did not reveal to you immediately because knowing them too soon would have hurt you. So He revealed them slowly, gently, over time, as your strength increased. Some realizations only came after distance. Some clarity only arrived after silence. That was not coincidence. That was mercy. You were also protected from reacting emotionally in moments where reaction would have created regret. God slowed you down. He calmed you. He restrained you. And later, you realized how close you were to making a decision that didn't align with your values. That restraint was protection. Chosen one, God has been guarding your future by shaping your present. Every redirection, every interruption, every closed door had purpose. Even when it hurt, even when you didn't understand. You may still grieve certain things. That's human. But don't confuse grief with failure. You can mourn what ended while still trusting why it ended. God is not removing things from your life to punish you. He is removing what cannot go where you are going. And here is something important. Protection is not always about danger. Sometimes it's about distraction. God removes distractions so your focus can sharpen. Because what He is preparing you for requires clarity, not chaos. You don't need to chase what walked away. You don't need to reopen what God closed. Trust that what remains is what is meant to grow. The peace you are slowly feeling, even after loss, is confirmation. Peace follows alignment. As we move forward, I want you to understand something deeper. What you are experiencing internally right now is not random discomfort. It is transformation. God is working inside you before He works around you. In the next part, I will help you understand the internal shift happening within you and why it feels unfamiliar, uncomfortable, and necessary. Stay with me. You are being prepared, not deprived. There is also a level of protection that operates quietly, almost invisibly. God has been protecting you from becoming someone you were never meant to be, from hardening your heart, from losing your sensitivity, from letting disappointment turn into bitterness. And you don't always notice that kind of protection because it happens internally. Think about how many times you could have grown cold, resentful, or cynical. Think about how easily pain could have changed your character. Yet here you are, still compassionate, still reflective, still seeking God. That did not happen by accident. God preserved your heart even when circumstances tried to harden it. Some battles you never had to fight because God diverted them before they reached you. Some conflicts never escalated because He dissolved them quietly. Some truths were hidden from you at first, not to deceive you, but to protect you from carrying information you were not yet strong enough to process. Protection also looks like God limiting access to you. Certain people lost access not because you became less loving, but because God valued your peace more than their comfort. You were protected from overgiving, from emotional depletion, from pouring into places that would never pour back into you. And perhaps the most important protection of all is this. God has been protecting your faith. Even when things didn't make sense, you didn't walk away. You questioned, yes. You struggled, yes. But you stayed. And staying is evidence of divine covering. So, if you've been wondering why your path looks different from others, why things unfold slower or more quietly for you, understand this. God protects what is valuable, and you, chosen one, are valuable. What lies ahead requires the kind of strength that can only come from being guarded, refined, and preserved. The internal shift happening before the external breakthrough. Chosen one, what you are experiencing right now on the inside is more important than anything happening on the outside. Most people miss this stage because they are too focused on visible results. But God always works internally first. He changes the root before He changes the fruit. And that is exactly what is happening within you now. You may have noticed that you don't react the same way you used to. Things that once triggered you don't hold the same power. At the same time, you may feel strangely sensitive, reflective, or emotionally aware. This can feel confusing. You might wonder why you feel both stronger and more vulnerable at the same time. That tension is not a problem. It's a sign of transformation. Internal shifts often feel uncomfortable because they disrupt familiarity. God is adjusting your inner landscape. He is removing outdated patterns, beliefs, and attachments that no longer align with who you are becoming. And when something familiar starts to dissolve, even if it was limiting you, the mind resists. You may feel a quiet detachment from things you once cared deeply about. Certain conversations feel draining now. Certain environments feel heavy. Certain goals don't excite you the way they once did. That doesn't mean you're losing passion. It means your priorities are changing. God is refining your focus. This internal shift is also why rest feels different. You may rest physically but still feel mentally active. Thoughts surface that you've avoided for a long time. Questions arise that demand honesty. God is not disturbing your peace, He is clarifying it. Think of it like this. Before a room can be redecorated, everything must be moved. During that process, the room looks messy, unsettled. But that disorder is temporary and intentional. You are in that phase right now. Some of you have been shedding identities that once kept you safe, but now keep you small. You no longer define yourself by survival alone. You're being called into alignment, not endurance. And that requires letting go of old coping mechanisms. You may also feel a deeper pull toward silence, toward prayer, toward reflection. That's because God is drawing you inward, not to isolate you, but to strengthen your foundation. Noise interferes with discernment, and clarity requires stillness. This is why God often reduces external distractions before a breakthrough. He simplifies your life so your spirit can hear clearly. Chosen one, internal growth is rarely celebrated because it cannot be seen, but it is the most critical phase. External blessings without internal readiness create instability. God will not release what could overwhelm you. There is also an emotional recalibration happening. You are learning to feel without being consumed, to care without carrying everything, to love without losing yourself. That balance is not easy. It's learned through awareness and grace. You might feel moments of sadness without a clear reason. That's release. Old emotions leaving your system. You might feel moments of peace that surprise you. That's alignment settling in. Let me say something important. Don't rush this process. Don't try to label it. Don't judge yourself for feeling different. Growth always feels unfamiliar before it feels empowering. The internal shift you're experiencing is preparing you to handle what's coming with wisdom instead of fear, with clarity instead of confusion, with humility instead of pride. You are being shaped into someone who can receive without clinging, succeed without losing integrity, and lead without forcing. This stage also strengthens discernment. You are becoming more selective, not more distant. You're learning where to invest your energy. That's maturity, not withdrawal. Some people may not understand this version of you. That's okay. This transformation isn't for their approval. It's for your alignment. And here's the truth many don't tell you. Internal shifts often feel lonely, not because you are alone, but because you are growing beyond certain connections. That doesn't make you better. It makes you ready. God always prepares His chosen ones inwardly before moving them outwardly. Moses was prepared in solitude. David was prepared in obscurity. Jesus was prepared in the wilderness. Preparation precedes manifestation. So if you feel like everything is happening quietly right now, trust it. God is doing deep work. He is strengthening your roots so that when the external breakthrough comes, you won't be shaken by it. The discomfort you feel is not a warning sign. It's a growth signal. And as we move forward, I need you to understand something practical. There are things God is asking you to do before today ends. Not in fear, not in panic, but in alignment. In the next part, I will guide you through what you must do right now to stay centered, protected, and spiritually aligned as this shift completes. Stay present. This part matters. There is another layer to this internal shift that many chosen ones struggle to put into words. It's the feeling of standing between who you were and who you are becoming. You're not fully attached to the old version of yourself anymore, but you haven't stepped completely into the new one either. That in-between space can feel unsettling. You may feel like you don't quite belong where you used to, yet you're not sure where you belong next. That feeling is not confusion, it's transition. Transitions always feel uncomfortable because they require trust without full visibility. God rarely reveals the entire picture at once. He gives just enough light for the next step. And for someone like you, who is thoughtful and spiritually aware, that can feel challenging. You want understanding, not just instruction. But this stage is teaching you something vital. It's teaching you how to move without forcing, how to trust without controlling, and how to let God lead without constantly questioning your worth or readiness. You may notice that your tolerance for chaos has decreased. Loud environments drain you faster. Surface-level conversations feel empty. Drama feels unnecessary. That's because your spirit is becoming more refined. You are being tuned to a frequency that values peace over stimulation, depth over noise, truth over appearance. This can also bring moments of grief, not because something bad is happening, but because something familiar is ending. You are allowed to grieve old versions of yourself. You are allowed to acknowledge that certain seasons shaped you, even if they no longer define you. Grief does not mean you want to go back. It means you honor what was while accepting what is. Another part of this internal shift is learning to sit with yourself without distraction. Many people avoid silence because it brings unresolved emotions to the surface. But you are learning how to face those emotions gently. You're learning how to let feelings pass without judging them. That is emotional maturity. God is also strengthening your inner authority. You are becoming less dependent on external validation. Compliments feel nice, but they no longer define you. Criticism may still sting, but it doesn't derail you the way it once did. That shift is subtle, but powerful. You are learning to trust your inner compass, and with that comes responsibility. Responsibility to honor your boundaries. Responsibility to listen when your spirit says no. Responsibility to rest when your body asks for it. Responsibility to speak truth when silence would compromise your integrity. This is not a season of proving yourself. It's a season of grounding yourself. You may have felt moments where you wanted to pull away, to simplify your life, to reduce your commitments. That's wisdom. God often reduces before he multiplies. He clears space before he fills it. You are not losing momentum. You are consolidating strength. Let me reassure you of this. The internal work you are doing now will save you years of struggle later. It will protect you from burnout. It will protect your faith. It will protect your peace. Many people chase external breakthroughs without internal alignment, and when success comes, it exposes their fractures. God is doing the opposite with you. He is healing the fractures first. So if this season feels slow, quiet, or deeply introspective, don't resist it. Don't label it as stagnation. This is sacred preparation. You are not being delayed. You are being fortified. And the more you allow this internal shift to complete without resistance, the smoother the external transition will be when it arrives. What you must do before today ends. Chosen one, this is where I speak to you with calm authority. Not to pressure you, not to frighten you, but to steady you. What you must do before today ends is not complicated, but it is sacred. It requires intention, not effort. Awareness, not anxiety. First, you must slow down. I know that sounds simple, but for a chosen one, slowing down can feel unnatural. You are used to thinking ahead, sensing what's coming, preparing for what others don't see yet. But right now, God is asking you to return to the present moment. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Stillness is not inactivity, it is alignment. Before today ends, guard your mind. Be mindful of what you allow to occupy your thoughts. If you notice your thoughts racing toward fear, lack, or worst-case scenarios, gently bring them back, not with force, with truth. Remind yourself that God has carried you through every season so far. There is no evidence that He will abandon you now. You do not need to solve your entire future tonight. You only need to remain anchored. Next, be careful with your words. Words carry weight, especially for someone spiritually sensitive like you. Avoid speaking from frustration, exhaustion, or disappointment. Not because those feelings are wrong, but because today is not the day to release them carelessly. Speak softly, speak truthfully, speak less if needed. Silence, when chosen intentionally, is powerful. Before today ends, I want you to release control. This is the hardest instruction for many chosen ones. You are disciplined, you are thoughtful, you plan, you analyze. But control is not the same as stewardship. Control comes from fear. Stewardship comes from trust. Ask yourself honestly, what have you been gripping too tightly? An outcome, a person, a timeline, a version of how things must unfold. Gently loosen your hold. You don't need to drop it completely, just stop forcing it. God does not require your anxiety to complete His work. Another important thing you must do before today ends is to rest without guilt, not collapse, not escape. Rest intentionally. Rest your nervous system, rest your mind, rest your spirit. You are allowed to pause without explaining yourself. You are allowed to stop proving your worth through productivity. Rest is not laziness, it is obedience. Some of you need to put the phone down for a while tonight. Not out of discipline, but out of respect for your inner space. Your spirit has been processing a lot. Give it room to breathe. Prayer before today ends does not need to be long or elaborate. God is not asking for performance. A simple, honest conversation is enough. You can say, God, I trust you even when I don't understand. That prayer alone carries alignment. Avoid making big decisions today if they are fueled by emotion. This is not a day for impulsive moves. It is a day for clarity to settle. If something feels urgent but also chaotic, pause. God's guidance brings peace, not pressure. Pay attention to what brings you calm today. That is where alignment lives. Before today ends, forgive yourself. Quietly, internally. Forgive yourself for what you didn't know back then. Forgive yourself for reacting instead of responding. Forgive yourself for staying too long or leaving too early. You did the best you could with the awareness you had. Self-forgiveness is a form of healing many chosen ones neglect. Also, set a boundary. It doesn't have to be spoken out loud. It can be internal. Decide what you will no longer tolerate in your thoughts, in your energy, in your emotional space. Boundaries are not walls, they are doors with discernment. You may feel tempted tonight to revisit old conversations, old memories, old regrets. Don't linger there. Reflection is healthy. Rumination is not. There is a difference. Choose reflection without self-punishment. I also want you to resist comparison before today ends. Comparison disrupts alignment quickly. Someone else's pace has nothing to do with your calling. God does not measure you against others. He measures you against obedience. Your path is specific because your assignment is specific. There is something else God is asking of you today. Trust without demanding signs. Trust without negotiating. Trust without needing immediate confirmation. Faith matures when it rests. You don't need to fix what God is already adjusting. As this day closes, choose peace deliberately. Light a candle. Sit quietly. Breathe slowly. Allow your body to unwind. Let the urgency of this message settle into calm certainty, not tension. Urgency does not mean hurry. It means importance. And the importance of today is this. How you hold yourself right now determines how smoothly you step into what comes next. Alignment today prevents confusion tomorrow. You are not being tested. You are being guided. Do not overthink this. Do not complicate it. Stay grounded, stay prayerful, stay aware, and remember this above all else. God does not rush his chosen ones into blessings unprepared. He walks them in with peace. What you do before today ends is simple. Choose trust over fear, stillness over noise, alignment over control. Everything else will follow. One more thing, chosen one, and this is subtle but essential. Before today ends, check in with your body, not just your thoughts. Your body has been carrying signals your mind tried to reason away. Tightness in your chest, tension in your shoulders, restlessness that didn't have a clear cause. These are not weaknesses. They are messages. Gently acknowledge them. Place your hand over your heart if you need to. Take a slow breath in and an even slower breath out. Your nervous system needs reassurance just as much as your spirit does. When you calm your body, your discernment sharpens. You are also being asked to stop replaying what you could have said or done differently. That mental looping drains your energy and pulls you backward. Tonight is not for correction. It is for closure. Let today be complete without reopening unfinished emotional files. If someone disappointed you recently, resist the urge to analyze their motives. Understanding is not always required for peace. Sometimes acceptance is enough. You don't need to carry unanswered questions into tomorrow. Before today ends, remind yourself of what you survived, not with pride, but with gratitude. There were moments you thought would break you, yet they didn't. That strength did not come from you alone. It came from grace that carried you when you were too tired to carry yourself. Let gratitude soften your heart, not harden it. There may also be an invitation to let go of urgency around proving your calling. You do not need to explain your path to anyone. You do not need to justify your pace. God validates what he ordains. External approval is not required for internal peace. Choose gentleness tonight, with your thoughts, with your emotions, with yourself. If you feel the urge to withdraw a little, honor it. This is not isolation, it is integration. You are absorbing what God has been teaching you. That requires quiet. As today comes to a close, I want you to trust that nothing is slipping away from you. Nothing meant for you will miss you. Nothing aligned with your purpose will bypass you. Your only responsibility right now is to remain open, rested, and receptive. That is enough. And because you are honoring this moment, tomorrow will meet you differently. The reward. Waiting on the other side of obedience. Chosen one, let me speak to you about reward in a way that is grounded, honest, and free from exaggeration. Because the reward God prepares for his chosen ones is not always loud, and it is not always visible at first, but it is always lasting. On the other side of obedience is peace that doesn't depend on circumstances, not temporary relief, not distraction, real peace, the kind that settles your thoughts, the kind that allows you to sleep without your mind racing, the kind that keeps you steady even when things around you are still unfolding. Many people chase outcomes. God offers alignment, and alignment brings a reward that outcomes alone never can. When you choose obedience over impulse, trust over control, and stillness over panic, something shifts inside you. You stop fighting life. You stop bracing for impact. You stop preparing for disappointment. And in that space, peace takes root. That peace becomes your foundation. Another reward is clarity. Not all at once, not in overwhelming detail, but enough clarity to move forward without fear. Enough understanding to make decisions without second-guessing yourself constantly. Enough discernment to recognize what belongs in your life and what doesn't. Clarity is a gift many overlook because it doesn't announce itself. It shows up as calm certainty, as a quiet knowing, as confidence without arrogance. On the other side of obedience, your emotional life becomes lighter. You still feel deeply, but you no longer carry emotions that don't belong to you. You stop absorbing the weight of others' expectations. You stop internalizing blame that was never yours. That emotional freedom is a reward. God also rewards obedience with stability, not stagnation, stability. The kind that allows growth without chaos, the kind that supports responsibility without overwhelm, the kind that lets you build without constantly rebuilding from exhaustion. Some of you are about to realize that stability is not boring. It is safe. It is grounding. It is the platform from which meaningful growth happens. Another reward waiting for you is restored confidence. Not confidence that depends on validation, but confidence rooted in identity. You begin to trust yourself again. You trust your discernment. You trust your pacing. You trust that you don't need to rush to prove anything. That confidence changes how you show up in the world. You speak with calm authority. You listen more. You react less. You choose carefully. Obedience also brings protection into the next season. When you align now, you reduce unnecessary battles later. You avoid detours that drain you. You bypass lessons you've already learned. That doesn't mean life becomes easy. It means life becomes clearer. Some of you will notice that after obedience, things begin to flow with less resistance. Conversations feel more honest. Opportunities feel more aligned. Decisions feel less forced. That flow is not luck. It is alignment at work. There is also a reward of deeper intimacy with God. When you obey, not out of fear but out of trust, your relationship with God shifts. Prayer becomes less formal and more relational. You stop trying to impress God and start listening more closely. That closeness strengthens you in ways no external reward ever could. Let me say this gently. The reward is not always what you expected, but it is always what you needed. God knows the difference. Some of you expected immediate external change. Instead, you receive internal calm first. That calm prepares you to handle the external change when it arrives. Others expected answers. Instead, you receive peace with uncertainty. That peace allows you to move forward without needing every detail. And some of you expected validation from people. Instead, you receive validation from within. That inner validation frees you from chasing approval. Obedience matures you. There is also a long-term reward that many don't talk about. Obedience builds spiritual resilience, the kind that allows you to weather future challenges without losing yourself, the kind that keeps your faith intact when life tests it. You are not just being rewarded for today, you are being prepared for tomorrow. God is not transactional. He does not trade obedience for gifts like a bargain. He shapes you through obedience so you can carry what he gives without losing peace, humility, or integrity. So if you're wondering whether choosing stillness, restraint, trust, and alignment is worth it, hear this clearly. Yes, it is worth it. Because what waits on the other side is not chaos, it is not confusion, it is not exhaustion, it is steadiness, it is clarity, it is peace. And that peace will guide you into everything else God has prepared. You are not missing out by obeying. You are being positioned. And as we come to the end, I want to speak directly to your heart one final time, to remind you of who you are and to seal what this message was meant to do within you. Stay with me for the conclusion. This is where it all comes together. Conclusion. You are not late. You are chosen. Chosen one. Let me leave you with this truth resting gently on your heart. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not catching up. You are exactly where God needs you to be right now. This moment, this awareness, this stillness you feel settling in, it was all divinely arranged. Nothing about your journey has been wasted, not the waiting, not the confusion, not the quiet battles you fought when no one was watching. God has used every season to shape you, protect you, and prepare you. Even the parts you didn't understand at the time were working in your favor. You don't need to rush into tomorrow carrying fear or pressure. You don't need to replay today wondering if you did enough. What mattered was your willingness to listen, to slow down, and to trust. That alone is obedience. That alone is faith in action. As this day comes to a close, choose to rest in the certainty that God is with you. He is not distant. He is not silent out of neglect. He is present, attentive, and deeply involved in your life. What He has started in you, He will complete. Walk forward calmly. Let peace guide your decisions. Let clarity replace anxiety. And let trust become your default posture again. If this message spoke to your spirit, chosen one, take a moment now to like this video. Subscribe to the Spirit Guide channel if you haven't already, and share this message with other chosen ones who may need this reassurance tonight. And comment 777 in the comments as a sign that you are aligned with divine timing and ready to walk forward in peace and purpose. Remember this as you move ahead. God protects what He calls, and He finishes what He begins. You are chosen, you are guided, and you are never alone.